Hi, Najla.
Hi.
How are you?
Michelle? I'm
I see,
good.
I see David. I see Dan. I see Jamie. David, you're looking
I
dapper
only
as
see
usual.
you.
If you go up to the top of the black box, you should have multiple options.
Which black box? This one? Yeah.
The one that shows like the
Yes.
pictures. You
Okay.
can click on the different grid views.
Show the small black- Okay.
So see one that looks like tic-tac-toe? It says
Yeah. I got it.
You got it.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
And Najla,
Michelle, maybe you can help me out. Who is Melissa Miller and William Jenkins?
It's William Jenks is a borough council member. Melissa Miller is the borough secretary.
Thank you.
Can you guys hear me?
yes,
Yeah,
sir.
now we can.
Okay, now we got it. All right.
Yeah.
Nice to see you all.
Nice
You
to see you too, Dave.
So,
Where
I
are you,
mean,
Najla?
I'm good. How about you?
Where are you?
Where am I?
Yeah.
In my house.
Which
In
one?
Wyomissing. No,
Oh, I
too
didn't
cold
know
to
where
be
the-
at the shore. No. I haven't been to the shore since the weekend after the elections.
Okay. I saw Mr. Dan was here. Did he go away? No, he
I'm
came.
here.
He's
You're
there.
there.
I'm still here. Yep,
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Yeah?
Trying to get my earpiece to volume to go down a little bit before I go deaf here. And it's not going down.
We'll whisper.
That's all right. I'll figure it out.
How's the virtual legal profession these days?
There we go.
Getting kind of used to it, to be honest. It's in some ways it's great. In some ways it's just I can't wait till we're back in person.
It is, guys.
It's nice for the evening meetings that are, farther away. Instead of getting home at midnight, I'm getting home as soon as the meeting's over. But I do miss the interaction with the people.
Just yes, that.
Well, if I could find a line, I'd get in it for a vaccine.
Yeah, for sure.
I got it yesterday.
Did you really?
Oh, good.
Yeah, I got the first shot yesterday.
How did you swing that?
Well, officially, I'm an employee of the office,
Oh.
you know.
Yeah.
So yesterday, all the employees who wanted to get it got it, and I did too.
Any side effects?
No, just a
Good.
little bit of soreness on the spot where
The
I
injection
was
site. Yep.
injected, but no, nothing so
Good.
far. And
Good.
the bill and the kids,
My son got one the other day and he said he had some soreness in the arm and that was the extent of it.
yeah,
Good.
nothing. I
Can
got the
everybody hear me?
Moderna, and Nabil and the kids got the Pfizer vaccine. They already had their second shot.
Yes.
Good.
we can hear you.
We got you, Bob.
Hi,
Hey,
Bob.
Robert,
Hello, everybody. How is everybody? Great to see you.
Great to see you too. Where are you? In Wyomissing or in Florida?
I was in Florida last week. I'm back in Reading today.
Oh, you are, okay.
quarantining, no doubt.
Well, I got a COVID test. Just before I left. So, yeah, Marianne is, because her position is one of those people that follows every rule there is. So on Friday, before we left on Sunday, on Friday, we went and got a COVID test. And I know you guys are wondering whether it was positive or not. It wasn't.
We figured you'd have let us know.
Yeah. Actually, I'm calling from the hospital room right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They're
right.
gonna be incubating me shortly.
he just wanted the dramatic effect for the announcement, that's all.
That's it, yeah.
Instead of intubating, you're putting a straw in a bottle, huh?
Yeah, that would be okay.
Yeah, yeah.
How
I've
have you
done
guys
that.
been handling all this?
Well, other than getting absolutely bored at home, I mean, we're working, we're extremely busy at work. And so we work and then try and figure out something to do on a weekend.
Oh, yeah, that is tough. Yeah, there's not a, well, we went to Florida right after Christmas, went down the 26th. And although I played golf there and that was fun, for the most part, obviously we didn't go to any restaurants. We didn't do anything in public that you were in close proximity to people except to pick up food. So every place is isolating. The only nice thing about Florida is warm enough that you get the outside, so you can get some outside activities.
Yeah. Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah.
Actually, the last time I filled up my car was November 8th. I
Oh,
haven't
my.
been anywhere since.
Oh.
On the way back from the shore, I always fill up in New Jersey before I cross the bridge because they fill it up for you and it's
They
cheaper.
do. Yes.
And that was the last time I put any gas in my car. I'm not going anywhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I bought a new car the end of February and I'm typically a 20,000 mile a year driver. And I haven't cracked 9. No place to go. Nobody wants me.
Mine is exactly a year old. I got it last January. It has 4,000 miles on it. That's all it has.
Jenks, they throw a good word in.
Anyway.
All
But
right,
it will
Mr.
be
Chairman.
over soon, I hope.
Go ahead.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I think we're at the appointed time and place.
Is Mr. Combs with us?
I see somebody on here by George Combs. I see 2 other telephone numbers. Maybe they could identify themselves as well. We have somebody ending in 36044. 6044. Can you identify yourself, please?
Hi, that's Alyssa Carlino.
Hi, Alyssa. Thank you very much.
Hi, thanks.
And the other number ending in 0898. Can you identify yourself?
Hi,
please?
this is Sarah Combs, the owner
Okay.
of 1222 Delaware Avenue. Hi.
Okay, so you and George are on different calls, I take it.
Yes,
Different
correct.
calls. Okay, good. Melissa, I don't know if you can you just do the name changes on the screen for us so we can take a look at those. All right. Melissa, did you hear what I said? I don't know if you could.
Yep, I'm working on it.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, Mr. Rothermel, while she's working on that, if you can, we can get the meeting started, I believe.
Okay.
May I just ask before we do that, because we have so many people, this is going to be difficult. So we have to be very careful to speak one at a time. And also anybody who is not speaking, if you could mute your microphone, that helps.
And just so everyone on the call who is not familiar with the board process, this is Michelle Bear from the borough. Jamie Hackman, who just spoke, is the stenographer recording the hearing. So everyone muting themselves and only speaking one person at a time will make Jamie's job a lot easier.
Are we all set?
Michelle, I don't know if we can take down the documents so I can see who everybody is then. I think you want them up right now, but when you can. There's a document up, which is fine, but I'll be able to see people better, I think, if, yeah.
I think she just took it down, Jamie, so you should be
Okay,
able to
thank
see it
you.
right now.
Yep, alrighty, thank you.
You sure you really want to see us?
It helps me tell who's speaking.
Okay,
Okay,
we're going to call the meeting of the Wyomissing Zoning Hearing Board to order. We're here today to hear the application for Mr. George and Sarah Combs, owners of property located at 1222 Delaware Avenue, who are requesting a variance from section 424 area, yard, and height regulations and section 602 residential accessory buildings, structures, and uses from the Borough of Wyomissing zoning ordinance. The property is located in the R2 suburban residential district. The property measures approximately 4,197 square feet and is non-conforming for the minimum lot size of 12,000 square feet. The existing building coverage for the property is 1,047.35 square feet, which results in a building coverage percentage of 24.95%. With the addition to the proposed 140 square foot shed, building coverage on the lot will total 28.25%. The maximum building coverage allowed in the R2 district is 25%. The applicant intends to place a proposed 140 square foot shed 5 feet from the rear lot line. The minimum rear yard setback for accessory buildings and structures in all zoning districts is 5 feet. The minimum side yard setback for accessory buildings and structures is a side yard requirement for the applicable zoning district. The minimum side yard setback in the R2 district is 15 feet on each side. For lots on which the principal building existed on the effective date of the ordinance, the side yard setback for accessory buildings and structures larger than 100 square feet or greater than 10 feet in height may be closer to a side lot line than the side yard requirement, provided that the accessory building is not located closer to the side lot line than the principal building or 5 feet, whichever is greater. The applicant is seeking relief to place a proposed 140 square foot shed 5 feet from the side lot line, which is closer to the side lot line than the existing principal dwelling. Okay, I would normally introduce the people that are here at the table, but with all of our names under our pictures, I don't think that's necessary. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Becker to explain our procedures and the responsibility of the applicants. Mr. Becker.
Dan, you're muted.
Yep, thank you. I had to find the button. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So I see we have quite a full list of people that are attending today's Zoom hearing. So let's just go over again some of the responsibilities here for this hearing. First and foremost, because it is being stenographically recorded, it's important that we speak one at a time and you identify yourself when you're speaking so that the stenographer understands who's talking. If you are not talking, again, we ask that you mute your microphone and stay muted until you're asked to talk or have a question that you're going to be asked. The way the hearing will run today is the applicant, the Combses, have the burden of proof. So it's their obligation to present testimony and exhibits that they believe necessary to establish why the relief that they're requesting should be granted. At the conclusion of their testimony, the board members and members of the public will have the opportunity to ask questions. Again, we're going to ask that we do this in an orderly fashion. If the questions have already been asked, they don't have to be re-asked. And then once all the testimony has been provided by the Combs and all the questions have been asked, then at that point, the board will see if there's any comments from other members of the public who are attending and if they have any evidence that they'd like to present. The other members of the public will also have the opportunity to make those comments at the end if they care to do so about the application. After all the evidence has been submitted, the zoning hearing board typically takes a brief recess, goes into executive session, and again, typically will render their oral decision today. They then have 45 days in which to issue the written decision. Does anybody have any questions about how the hearing is going to proceed today? And by the way, for anybody who's not familiar with Zoom, if you have any, there's a number of reactions down at the bottom of your screen. If you're looking to try to get somebody's attention, you can also hit one of those. We'll know that you want to talk to us. And again, hearing no other questions at this point in time, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Becker. At this point, Mr. Combs or Mrs. Combs, whoever is choosing to speak, it is up to you to present your case to the board.
Mr. Combs, you are muted if you're trying to speak at the moment.
Hello, can you hear me now?
We
Yes,
can.
we
Now,
can.
now, Mr. Combs, before you start providing any testimony, we'll also need to have you sworn. So if you would just, if the stenographer can, Jamie, you can just administer the oath.
Mr. Combs, if you raise your right hand, I'll swear you in. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Combs, before we begin, how many witnesses will you have testifying today?
My wife is on, my wife, Sarah Combs, my cousin that lives on the same block, my sister-in-law. I just told them to join. I don't think they're going to be
Okay, so
testifying.
you intend that you'll be the only witness testifying today?
I believe so.
Okay, thank you very much. You can proceed.
Okay,
Mr.
Mr.
Combs.
Combs, up to you.
Okay, so I just was, hold on one sec. Let me pull over here. So my wife and I purchased this house in 2018 with the intent of putting a garage in the back of the house, but after looking at a bunch of codes and the building coverage and everything, found out from Michelle that that was no way possible. We just needed a place to store all of our stuff with a newborn, my job as a woodworker, carpenter. We just needed a place for it, so I decided like a smaller type shed would do the job, and started going through the process of figuring that out. Got the land surveyed, figured out like a nice plan for it, and just went ahead with this application for variance, and that's basically it. Hold on one sec. Sorry, I'm coming in and out here.
Okay, I think we got you.
So with the application, I put a plot plan for our property that was laid out by the surveyor, where the shed is and supposed to go, with the requested setbacks of the 5 feet from the rear lot line and the side lot line, and oh, I'm sorry. It's going in and out.
We can hear you, Mr. Combs.
So I mean, that's basically it. That I needed this space for myself, for my kid, and my wife, for the smaller home that we purchased about 2 years ago. And the building was just about at the 25% coverage limit that this zone has the maximum of, and that's why we're applying for the variance for just I think with the shed, it brings it to about 27.96% over, or 27.96% coverage of the whole property. And according to Michelle and a couple other people I talked to, this was the only way to go about getting this done. So
I think, Mr. Combs, it's obvious why the lot coverage relief is necessary, and you are 5 feet from the rear line, which is within code. I think what you have to defend, perhaps, is the reason that you're looking for a variance from that side yard restriction.
Right, it would just put, there's currently like a driveway that when we bought the house that it was there, and it would just, in the 10 feet, I think it's 10 feet, would just it would just make the driveway totally unusable. So I'm trying to get the maximum amount of usable space back there with an already small lot in Wyomissing.
Where's the driveway?
It spans the width of the property in the alleyway right behind the house. It's not much of a driveway. It's more of a like parking spots that you pull right in from the alley.
So, Mr. Combs, you submitted with your application an exhibit that was prepared by Stackhouse Bensinger. I assume that was Steve Bensinger, is that
Yes.
correct? All
Yes,
right.
correct.
I don't know if Melissa, if you can put that up on the screen, we can mark that as applicant's exhibit 1. Mr. Combs, can you see the screen and the exhibits?
Yes, now I can.
Okay. So as she scrolls down to that exhibit, I want to just make sure that we all understand the area you're talking about regarding the driveway. Okay. So Melissa, there you go. Yep. Awesome. Okay. So I'm looking at what we'll mark as applicants 1. I see down at the very bottom that there's the words gravel alley. So if you can use that as kind of the reference point, where is the driveway that you're talking about or the parking spaces?
So everywhere, the width of the property, all the way to the perpendicular fence. You see where it says 140 square foot shed?
Yes, sir.
So to the right of that, right where that is, and to the right of it is where we park cars. It's a gravel driveway that I think was put in about 10 years ago.
When you say driveway, you really, so there's no garage or?
No.
So it's really
building,
just.
One at a time, please.
So let me finish my question and then please answer, Mr. Combs. So the area from fence or from property line to property line right now is essentially gravelled and it's really parking spaces. Is that how you're describing it?
Correct, yes.
Okay. There's an area marked concrete pad. What's that concrete pad for?
An owner about 10 years ago installed that for a hot tub, I believe. But we just have patio furniture on it.
And right now, the area where you're proposing the shed, which I think is identified on there as the 140 square foot shed,
Right.
do you park in that area currently as well?
Yes. It was just the easiest place to put it without putting it in the middle of the backyard, just so we could have somewhat of a usable backyard.
Can you slide it further towards the center to get the 15-foot side yard setback that's required?
Yes, I can. The property is 36.5 feet wide. So I can slide it anywhere in there. It would just make us not be able to use it for parking any longer.
So if you split, right, go ahead, David, I'm sorry.
With the width of the property, Dan, if he slid it over, he's gonna be violating the side yard anyway, because the width of the shed is wider than the space between the setback lines. You only have 30 feet in setback and you only have 6 feet in between.
Got it. Getting one side or the other.
Yep.
How wide is the shed?
It's
We have
10
those
feet.
dimensions? 10 feet. Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the answer.
It's 10 feet wide.
Okay.
So with many emails I went back and forth with Michelle Bear, we just kind of came to this conclusion that it was the best choice to go for this variance, because like we just said, even if you put it in the centermost area of the backyard, which would make the backyard pretty much unusable, it still doesn't adhere to the 15-foot setbacks. and the size of the lot is way under what the area calls for minimum lot size anyway.
It is a small piece of property. Mr. Combs, what are you going to use the shed for, did you say?
I'm a carpenter and woodworker by trade, so storing tools, and then half, bikes, lawn equipment. Like I don't have, before this, I just kept my lawnmower outside, and bikes and anything that has to do with family activities, because we don't have a garage or anything like that. And our basement's pretty inaccessible. Our house was built in 1906, so it's not built to accommodate what we have in our current age.
You are a carpenter by trade, and your website uses your Wyomissing Wyomissing address as the place of business. Is this shed for commercial use?
No, I just moved from Philadelphia, so I had to just change my address. I do small home renovations. I don't bring work to my house.
Okay.
It's not commercial work at all. I mean, it's a 10 by 14 foot shed, especially, for storage and fixing up things in our house.
Just curious because of the website address. I've been doing all the talking. Anybody from the board have questions?
Really? Where's Bob?
I'm here.
You have any questions, Bob?
I don't. I agree. It's a very small property. The use of the shed, I didn't hear it. Did Mr. Combs say what he intended to use the shed for? Exactly.
99% just storage. And small woodworking things like redoing windows. Like I've been fixing stuff in the old craftsman house that we live in. Just a small tool shed for small projects and mostly storage.
So you will be doing work in the shed?
Every once in a while, I'm sure. No, not like, again, with the size of it, you can't really do much in it, but.
I understand that the neighbors are probably a part of this hearing, but may I ask Mr. Combs, have you talked to the neighbors about putting the shed here?
I talked to our one neighbor, Kathy Molt, and she loves it. My other adjoining neighbor, I'm advised not to speak with from my attorney.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand. In fact, I know I don't understand. A better way of putting it.
Okay, so over the past year or so, our other neighbors, the last name of Gray, have just been very threatening towards us. And
all right, so there's some disputes with that neighbor.
Yes, so I have not spoken to her. But I did choose that side of the property because I thought she wouldn't like it on her side. So I figured I'd just put it on the other side to appease her somewhat.
Mr. Combs, may I ask one more question? Are you able to use the property without the shed? Do you absolutely need the shed to be able to use the property?
To use a property as living in the house? No, I mean, we don't need any of it, but would it make living with my wife and my kids and my life way easier? Yes. And to keep I've been constantly improving the property and the yard and everything. And just, I don't have, like I was saying before, I was just leaving this stuff outside or on my porch. Like I don't have any place to put anything.
I see.
And I was talking with a previous owner and he had an approval to put a shed on it, but I guess this was about 10 years ago and some codes have changed since then, so.
I think it only is necessary to know if the dispute with a neighbor has anything to do with the shed.
No, this is well before that.
Okay. Mr. Becker, anything further that you need to know?
No, sir. I think at this point, we can open it up for any questions from the residents that are in attendance.
If there is any question from a resident, please identify yourself and ask your question.
I've just unmuted my microphone. This is Sharon Gray.
Okay.
We don't have the best relationship, but I don't know what the problem is with Mr. Combs and I. I do object to the.
Okay, Ms. Gray, at this point in time, it's an opportunity to ask questions. If you have questions, now's the time to do so. If you want to make a statement, you'll have the opportunity to do that at a later point.
Put it in this year.
Understood. Mr. Combs, what is the purpose of the structure? You're stating that you're not using that for business purposes?
Yeah, I'm using it for storage.
I've personally seen you take business items out of that shed at the beginning of a workday and at the end of a workday.
Okay, Ms., you're going to have the opportunity to provide testimony, Ms. Gray. Just ask questions at this point in time. So I think the question that you're looking for is, Mr. Combs, have you been storing and using it for your business, the shed for your business?
I store some tools in it, yes.
Are you doing I mean, just as a follow-up to that, are you doing any business related work with inside the shed?
Not for work, no. I'm doing right now, the shed is there. I'm fixing a original window in my house in the shed right now. That's the current project in it.
And you stated that you were not engaged in a home occupation, is that correct?
That I'm not engaged in a home occupation?
Yes.
Can you define that better?
You're not working out of your home, is that correct?
No, I'm not. My wife does. I don't.
Are you storing materials outside now that you have the shed?
Not for work, no.
Are you storing any materials like the lawnmower, any outside materials outside now that you have the shed?
Yes, there are some things still outside I've yet to put in.
So hold on one second. Something I just has the shed already been constructed?
Yes.
Did you pull the necessary permits for the shed?
I sent it to craft code and gave them the information, and then it was like, you need the variance for it. So it's there, but it can, if this doesn't get passed, it'll just get moved to a different location.
Mr. Combs, how far is the setback from the shed, from the alley now?
5 feet.
That's not true.
No, well,
Okay.
okay, that's it. No more questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gray. Are there any other residents on the call that have any questions for Mr. Combs? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Rothermall, at this point, we can see if Mr. Combs has any further witnesses, and then we can go to the next step if he doesn't.
You hear that, Mr. Combs? Any further witnesses that you'd like to have testify?
I don't know if my wife wants to speak at all, of how we're going to use it for storage at all. She may. We're not in the same location right now, so.
Hi, this is Sarah Combs.
Okay, Sarah, if you're going to provide testimony, we'd ask that you also be sworn by the stenographer.
Yes, sure.
Sarah, if you raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, Sarah. Would you please go ahead and say what's on your mind?
Hi, yes, thank you. I would just like to say that the shed is going to be used for, we have a 1.5-year-old, almost 2-year-old. We have a lot of yard tools that we will store in the shed along with our bikes, his wagon, and any other outdoor things that we would be using in our yard. And as for George storing tools in there, he does home improvements on our house, fixing a window or fixing things here and there. And it's so nice to be able to have a spot to put all of our tools so that he can use it right then and there. And it just has helped clean up our yard because we can put, like I said, yard materials, rakes and shovels and, leaf blowers, anything like that. As George mentioned, we don't have a garage, so a shed is very beneficial to keep the upkeep of our home, which we find very important. And that's really all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else, Mr. Combs?
It looks like Najla has a question.
I have a question about his work. Is there another place where he does his work other than home?
Yes, he does work for other people's homes. He does home improvements for other people.
Yeah, but does he do the improvements on the premises or does he bring stuff home to work on?
He does it on the premises. He does a lot of floor refinishing and, stuff that he wouldn't even be able to bring home even if he wanted to.
Okay.
Anyone else, Mr. Combs?
I don't believe so.
Okay, fine.
Oh, can I interrupt? This is Amy Combs. I'm happy to speak up as a witness if I'm able to.
Well, at this point, Ms. Amy Combs, this is George's case and his wife's case. If they care to have you do so, they can.
Yes.
If you're making comment, then you can do comment at the end.
Yeah, Amy,
So
you can make a comment in support or against this without being sworn in. Just a brief statement of what's on your mind.
Sure. May I go ahead right now? Is that
Sure.
No, well, what, do you want to do it now, David? Or do you want to go through to see if there's any? Okay.
Let's do it
That's
now.
fine.
Okay, great. I am a neighbor. We actually live on the same street. So I'm very familiar with their property. And I'd like to say in the time that they've moved in, they've done amazing things to that property to beautify the street, the neighborhood, even the back, which is so often on these streets, the alleyways often look like junk in the back. I hate to say it, but those tend to to lose the kind of curb appeal in the back. And I think that George and Sarah have done an amazing job with the yard and beautifying 360 around that property. I'll say that first. And then secondly, we also live without a garage, and we are a family of 5. We have 3 children. We are on about a 1/4 acre, and we utilize a shed. If we did not have the shed on our property, it would look terrible in the yard and for curb appeal or for people to see, because like Sarah said, we have to store all our yard materials in that shed. Otherwise, we would have them shoved under a deck or out on the porch or wherever else, as well as all of the kid bikes and scooters and soccer balls and, you know, what have you. Anyone who has children knows all of the stuff that can build up and how nice that is to have a place to store it. So I just wanted to speak up on their behalf in that regard. Thank you.
Amy, what is your address?
1239 Delaware.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else on the call that would like to make a statement?
Can you hear me? This is Alyssa Carlino.
Yes, we can hear you, Alyssa.
Okay. I am not a neighbor.
Okay.
Yep, and I'm not a neighbor. I'm at 1176 Old Mill Lane,
Gotcha.
and have worked with you all as well as Michelle probably on the most amount of projects on home renovations for our private home here in Wyomissing. I am related to Sarah and George. However, I am also in support of their shed. They're doing massive amounts of improvements to this home that was in pretty dire straits. And if anything, I totally, am in support of a variance board and, boroughs to have all of this. And it is quite lovely. And so I'm saddened by their disruptive neighbor who continues to get problems and give them problems, particularly in such home improvement wise. However, if any one of the board members on the variance board were to walk past, I don't think it would cause any of you to take notice because it sits right in naturally and peacefully. And so I continue and I encourage you all to walk past and take a look.
I do that regularly. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks for everybody.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the call?
Ms. Gray, now is the opportunity, if this is the time where you would like to make some comments.
Okay, I would like to say something. This isn't about relationships. This is about following zoning rules and zoning hearing board rules. And no accessory building structures permitted within 5 feet of the rear lot line. And that shed is within 5 feet of the rear lot line. And also, outdoor storage in Wyomissing is not permitted. That's exactly what Mr. Coombs is doing. And he's maintaining home occupation. He keeps his work tools in that shed, and he has a website that has his Wyomissing address, is his work address, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's claiming he's a contractor. There's no other address. He's at home right now. He has not left the house. He said he was working, he was driving. His truck is right in front of the house right now. He continues to do things to that home, which may or may not be an improvement. That's not for me to decide, but he does it without getting zoning board approval. He constantly is doing things and then going and getting zoning board approval after the fact. I also would like a shed on my property, but it would not be within 5 feet of the plot line. I carry my lawnmower up and down the stairs for the past 30 years. I have my tools in the basement. I carry my tools in and out of my home. And I think Mr. Coombs should do the same. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gray.
Thank you.
May I speak real quick here? I'm in Philadelphia right now. Can
Okay,
anybody
Mr.
see
Combs,
me?
we don't, again, Mr. Combs, we don't need you to rebut that inferences or those statements.
Yeah, okay,
If you have
thanks.
something new to apply relating to your request or your application, we'll be glad to hear it.
No, if this application gets approved, I will no longer be storing anything outside. Just didn't want to put everything inside without this getting approved yet. I understand people don't like, I have some lumber on the side of my yard neatly stacked. That was from a fence permit that just expired, and I will get rid of that inside the shed. Need people accusing me where I am and where I am not. But that's it.
Okay, I think we're good. Mr. Becker, anything further?
I don't believe so. I think at this point, we want to hear from Michelle and
Yes.
Michelle Bear and Joe Nider.
Do we have a new way of doing
So-
our,
No, let's do this. So at this point in time, I guess, why don't we start with Michelle and ask her to be sworn in, and then we'll go to Joe next.
okay. For those of you in the call, this is a legal procedure that we have to go through in all of these. So just bear with us.
Can we take the document down again so I can see who everybody is? And then Michelle, if you raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
So I served as the residential zoning officer up through October of 2020. I'm looking at email conversations that I did not include as part of the board exhibits for this hearing because I did not know where the testimony today was going to go. I forward these emails to Melissa. She can, once I'm done testifying, pull them up on the screen so the board can view them as well. The first email is from August 28th of 2019, when I explained to Mr. Combs that there are different requirements for different sheds based off of square footage over or under 100 square feet. I explained about building coverage requirements and that adding any type of structure to the lot would push him above the allowable square footage for building coverage. I also went on to explain that the restrictions for setbacks for sheds that are 100 square feet or less are much less restrictive than sheds that are over 100 square feet, and that he could place a shed 100 square feet or less, 5 feet off the side and 5 feet off the rear property line. I then had a further conversation with Mr. Combs, and hold on one second for me.
So Michelle, before you move on to the second email, that first email was dated, what did you say it was?
August 28th of 2019.
28th, okay. And we'll mark that as board exhibit number 1. And we'll take a look at that when we have the opportunity with Melissa to bring that up for us.
Mr. Combs then again reached out to me in the spring of 2020. I have an email dated May 12th of 2020, where he was asking various questions about different things he was interested in doing on his property. I again reiterate in that email that he would need to apply for zoning hearing board approval for a variance for potential coverage and setback regulations to allow a shed to be placed on his property. I think to some extent you're already aware of this from some of the testimony that's happened here today, but what he's really asking for is not a variance. He's asking for forgiveness, as the shed is already installed on the property without the variance and without any type of approved permit. In that same email from May 12th of 2020, I clearly indicated any type of structure, including a fence or a shed, requires a permit. So I'm a little disappointed that this was spelled out in writing twice to the property owner, and we're here having a hearing today about something that's been installed without board approval and without an approved permit.
Michelle, we'll mark that second email you said was dated May 12th, 2020 as board exhibit number 2. You made a comment that I just want to make sure I understand. If you made a comment about if the shed was under 100 or 100 square feet or less, how does that make a difference than a 140 square foot shed?
So 140 square foot shed must meet the minimum requirements of 5 feet off the rear property line, 15 feet off the side property line. A shed that's 100 square feet or smaller must only be set 5 feet off the side property line, 5 feet off the rear property line. So he could put a smaller shed in that would comply with those requirements, though he would still most likely, almost definitely, need building coverage relief.
Understood. All right. Now, that you talked about a little bit in your capacity as the zoning officer. Is there any other information as the zoning officer that you would like to present today?
No, and again, to clarify, I'm no longer the residential zoning officer, only the commercial zoning officer.
And the residential zoning officer today then is whom?
Joe Neidert from Craft
All
Code
right.
Services.
And he's here with us today, so we'll ask him to provide testimony in a minute after we finish with your testimony. You didn't prepare any of the letters in your capacity as the zoning officer, is that correct?
As the zoning officer, no.
So that was only the emails that came in prior to the application for relief. Any letters relating to the application were then done by Mr. Neidert?
Correct.
Okay, so let's change hats here for a moment. Go back to your job as the secretary for the zoning hearing board. In that capacity, what are your duties and responsibilities?
I prepared a public notice that was advertised in the Reading Eagle on December 30th and December 6th. That same notice was advertised to all adjoining property owners on December 16th of 2020 at approximately 10:30 a.m. and was posted on the subject property on December 29th of 2020 at approximately 2:15 p.m.
Okay, do you have copies of those for the record as well?
I do, and they were included in the board documents that were viewable on the screen earlier.
All right, we'll mark those as board exhibit number 3. Do you have anything further as the secretary for the zoning hearing board?
I do not.
Do you have anything further for this board to consider at today's hearing?
I do think you should consider some of the comments that were made about a home occupation being operated from this property. I don't have an approved business privilege license for a home occupation for either Mr. or Mrs. Combs at this address. And I did check, we've cataloged all zoning hearing board decisions that were ever issued since the incorporation of the borough. There was never any prior zoning relief granted for this property.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Now, I'd like to have Joe Neidert sworn, please. Joe, if you can just address the stenographer.
Mr. Neidert, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Neidert, you are now the zoning officer for the borough of Wyomissing. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Okay, in that capacity, what are your duties and responsibilities?
My duties are to enforce the borough zoning ordinance and process zoning permits and applications, and also help with the processing of any type of variance or relief.
All right, so in that capacity, did you have occasion to review the application that was submitted by Mr. and Mrs. Combs for their property on Delaware?
I did.
And did you prepare any documentation, any correspondence relating to that request?
I did. I had a review letter which was submitted to the board for review.
Okay, well, that was, I believe we also saw that on the screen a little earlier. We'll mark that as board exhibit, I believe, we're at number 4. Do you have any other information or testimony that you believe relevant for the board to consider today at this hearing?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Dan, if I might.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mr. Neidert, have you inspected the property and the shed and its location?
I have not.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
All
Mr.
right,
Chairman.
Mr. Becker, I think we're finished with all of the Navy advertisements. Very good, thank you.
Good.
Now, at this particular point in time, the board will go into executive session to discuss the application and see if we can reach a conclusion. I gather we're going to do executive session by dropping out of where we are and opening another Zoom link.
And Michelle, please, or Miss Melissa, maybe, I believe we have to terminate this link to get to the other one. Is that correct? Because we can't have two links open at the same time?
Correct, yes.
All right. So what we should do is to let everybody know that they can join back in. The time is currently 3:52. Mr. Chairman, why don't we set, how long do you think we need for deliberations?
I would think we need 15 minutes, 20 minutes. What do you think?
That makes sense to me. Do you want to have everybody reconvene back to this link again at 3:15? Would that be sufficient time?
That would be sufficient.
You mean
4:15.
4:15.
I'm sorry, 4:15.
4:15.
4:15. Got it.
Well, it all depends on which coast.
Exactly.
All right.
Okay.
4:15,
So-
we should be back.
So before we go, does everybody here who's present understand what we're doing? We're going to close this link down right now temporarily. We're going to then come back to this link and very possibly announce the oral decision at 4:15. Everybody understand that?
Yes,
Okay.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Are we back?
Most
Yeah,
of us
but
are. I think we're still a little early yet. I think we have a minute.
Okay. All right.
I was gonna say we're back, but it's just us.
Just us. Do you do anything at the Borough Hall these days, Michelle? Is it, all the work is virtual?
Oh dear Lord, no. So I was actually in this morning for about 4 hours for a bunch of meetings. I'll be in tomorrow as part of my promotion. The Parks Department is now underneath me. So I've been meeting with the Parks guys out in the field
It's the ugliest person I've ever
to
seen.
visit the different locations and, you know, kind of understand what they do, why they do it, where they do it, and when they do it, so I can advocate for them, you know, with 4th Street, checking on progress over there, site meetings with other commercial property owners. I'm not in every day, but I feel like 3 or 4 days a week is pretty consistent.
Yeah. Are there other people working there or and meeting there or no?
Meeting, no, other than if it's, you know, even like staff meetings, we really can't do because you can only get maybe 4 people max in council chambers before you can't really socially distance yourself anymore.
Yeah.
But yes, our public works director, the borough manager, Pat, they're in every day. Lisa, our receptionist, Kim, who's our utility clerk, is in for roughly a half day every day. And then Melissa, myself, Phyllis, go in, you know, when we need to be there or, you know, things we have to be in the office to do. And then Sue, who's our part-time finance help, she's in on her own schedule.
Yeah. Okay, good, good. Maybe we'll get back to normal, get a vaccine,
Maybe.
maybe.
Nice.
Dave, I think next week they're gonna open it up for anybody over 65.
David's 22.
Well,
Yeah,
at
I
my
know.
age, I have a long way to go.
I used to babysit.
Okay, as the Combs are back.
Hi, yes, this is Sarah. I'm back.
Okay, George back.
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, then we'll call the meeting at the Wyomissing Zoning Hearing Board back to order, and we have a motion on the decision.
Yes, as a result of the failure of the applicant to establish the need for a variance to the terms of the Borough of Wyomissing zoning ordinance that he has requested, I move that the motion, that the application be denied.
I
Is there a
second it.
second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, Mr. Combs, what that means is your relief has been denied. You will have to remove the shed. In the meantime, what we will do is we will issue the zoning decision. You'll see the written decision within the next 45 days. Upon receipt, you have 30 days in which to file an appeal. Do you have any questions about the procedure and the process?
Nope, no, thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. That, I believe, concludes today's hearing.
It is. Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Back soon.
Bye.
Hey, Jamie,
Yes.
I just will need that transcript as soon as you can get it to me.
Okay,
Okay,
yes, next week sometime, okay?
perfect. That'd be great.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Do. Thank you.
Yep. Goodbye all.